I'm Dr. Fiona Godlee, Editor-in-Chief of the BMJ, based in London. So BMJ has a long history of involvement in India. We're very delighted to be here. But we've been doing the awards only for 3 years. This is our 3rd year. And over that time, our aim has been to celebrate excellence in Indian healthcare. And we feel that although there are many, many awards in India doing lots of different aspects of healthcare, there are very few that really celebrate teams, individual teams doing good work. And we have tried to establish a very robust process by which we judge the nominations. This year we've had more nominations than before. 1,500 people have entered the awards. 1,500 teams have entered the awards. And we have a very high quality set of judges. We have a very careful peer review process. We have very stringent conflict of interest criteria to make sure the judges are independent. And the finalists, so this year we have 30 finalists for 10 categories, have had to come to Delhi to be interrogated by the panel, to answer questions, to present their work. And on that basis, we have come up with 10 finalists who will be given their awards this week. So one of the problems that healthcare faces is the system within which doctors and nurses and other clinicians have to function. And it's often the system that is failing, not necessarily the individuals within it. So BMJ has been part of a global movement to improve the quality and safety of healthcare. And this week we have our first summit in India to try to advance this movement. So we've had major conferences in Singapore and in Hong Kong, and this year we're bringing that approach to India. So we have a day in which we're going to be looking at the improvements in primary care in India, looking at low-cost technologies in India that can improve healthcare, and also looking at how public-private partnerships can improve the quality and safety of healthcare in India. We have very good regional, internationally renowned speakers, and the aim is to introduce to Indian doctors ways in which they can improve the quality and safety of the healthcare they deliver. BMJ is very aware that doctors in India are under enormous pressure. They have huge pressure on their time, sometimes delivering healthcare to hundreds of patients in a few hours of the day. And they are under pressure from patients, from the relatives, from industry, from the institutions in which they work. And there's very little time for them to keep up to date. So we've worked over many years now to develop very high quality, independent, accessible education tools for clinicians. And these are brought to Indian doctors now in digital form, so online learning, remote learning, in ways they can learn wherever they are. They don't have to necessarily travel. But we also have face-to-face learning in master classes where people can come together for 1 day or two to really get up-to-date information about where their field is moving. So we feel that Indian doctors need this support. BMJ is in a very good place to deliver it. We do it in partnership with Indian institutions and experts. And in this way, we hope to improve the quality of the healthcare that Indian doctors can deliver. India has a long tradition of innovation, but we are told that research is not something that has been at the forefront of people's activity. They're very busy with other things. We want to try to build capacity for Indian doctors to do more research. We recognize that the skills are hard to learn and the resources are not often independent and of high quality. So we have partnered with University of California, San Francisco to develop a set of modules that can be delivered digitally, remotely, where people can learn the skills to do good research. So they can learn how to do good research, what a good protocol is like, how to ask the right questions, how to do the right analyses, how to ensure that the conclusions are accurate, and then, importantly, how to get that research published, because outlets for publication can also be a challenge. So we have, in addition to a new program called Research to Publication, which can be accessed online, we have many new avenues for Indian doctors to publish their research. So we have BMJ Open, which is an open access journal, and we have BMJ case reports, where people can publish their case reports, available internationally. We recognize that there's a lot that Indian doctors can offer, and we hope very much that they will take access to these new resources. This is already launched. It's available in India. Research to publication, BMJ case reports, BMJ Open, BMJ Global Health. These are all, we hope, reasonably priced, easily accessible tools that Indian doctors can avail themselves of. Indian healthcare is in a really interesting place at the moment. You have fantastically high quality tertiary care, beating the world in many areas, very innovative, using high technology. You have a very overstretched, I think, secondary care system with, as I say, doctors under huge time pressure, seeing many patients in an hour, having to prescribe medicines very quickly, not necessarily having time to use their clinical skills. And then you have a very underdeveloped and costly to the individual primary care system with much variety and quality. So in a way, Indian healthcare, with all of its many good things, is almost upside down. And what the BMJ would like to see is, as in other parts of the world, a much stronger development of primary healthcare, which can take the load away from the secondary and tertiary care systems, reducing cost, improving safety for patients and their families, reducing the need to travel to secondary care centres, and creating more time for the secondary care doctors to focus on the real diseases that need to be treated. So I think our push would be to try to build capacity in primary care, to encourage regions, governments to invest in primary care, and that's not just in doctors but also in other types of healthcare worker. And then to allow more time in secondary care to do the important things that need to be done, and continue with the very, very strong innovative tertiary care that India has been so proud of. One of the problems that Indian medicine faces is common around the world, but is a particular problem in India, where doctors tend to be paid more for doing more, and they're also under pressure from industry and from their institutions to bring in money or to prescribe drugs and do treatments that may not necessarily be in the best interests of the patients. So the BMJ has been involved for some time in a campaign which we call Too Much Medicine, and the idea is to try to highlight areas where the cost and the harm of medicine overweighs the benefits that it can deliver. And it's quite hard to unpick some of the forces that are at work, but we want to try to alert doctors and patients to areas of medicine that we need to pull back. So how many treatments really are necessary, really are giving benefit, and areas where we can see too much medicine is harming patients and harming healthcare systems are the prescribing of antibiotics, the prescribing of painkillers that aren't necessary, the prescribing of antidepressants, the use of technology that is increasing the detection of illness or detection of disease, which may be better left undetected because we don't yet know what we should do when we find something. So there are a number of areas in which medicine is pushing beyond where it should be. It's medicalizing normal life. It's extending the criteria of what is normal. So we now have pre-diabetes, pre-hypertension, pre-dementia, pre-osteoporosis. And all of these are developing new markets for drugs, new markets for treatments, where in fact we should be saying, hold on, these patients are really just people in the normal range, and we should not be bothering them with pills and treatments. So the BMJ is looking to try to educate doctors, patients, the public about areas where they should really pull back. And we think that the benefit will be lower cost and less harm, because all of these treatments, whether it be pills or surgery, bring with them harm as well as extra cost. One of the problems that Indian medicine faces is common around the world, but is a particular problem in India, where doctors tend to be paid more for doing more, and they're also under pressure from industry and from their institutions to bring in money or to prescribe drugs and do treatments that may not necessarily be in the best interests of the patients. So the BMJ has been involved for some time in a campaign which we call Too Much Medicine, and the idea is to try to highlight areas where the cost and the harm of medicine overweighs the benefits that it can deliver. And it's quite hard to unpick some of the forces that are at work, but we want to try to alert doctors and patients to areas of medicine that we need to pull back. So how many treatments really are necessary, really are giving benefit. And areas where we can see too much medicine is harming patients and harming healthcare systems are the prescribing of antibiotics, the prescribing of painkillers that aren't necessary, the prescribing of antidepressants, the use of technology that is increasing the detection of illness or detection of disease, which may be better left undetected because we don't yet know what we should do when we find something. So there are a number of areas in which medicine is pushing beyond where it should be. It's medicalizing normal life. It's extending the criteria of what is normal. So we now have pre-diabetes, pre-hypertension, pre-dementia, pre-osteoporosis. And all of these are developing new markets for drugs, new markets for treatments, where in fact we should be saying, hold on, these patients are really just people in the normal range, and we should not be bothering them with pills and treatments. So the BMJ is looking to try to educate doctors, patients, the public about areas where they should really pull back. And we think that the benefit will be lower cost and less harm, because all of these treatments, whether it be pills or surgery, bring with them harm as well as extra cost.
The pharma industry won't be interested in this.
Say again?
The pharma industry may not be interested in listening to this.
I think the pharma industry,
It's a message for them.
yeah, it's a strong message for the pharmaceutical industry, as well as the technology and device industry, that and the screening industry. I think if doctors can become more skeptical and really question what is the evidence base behind these treatments, what is driving the marketing of these treatments. And very often we are seeing research being used as marketing. So the research itself is not as credible as it should be. It's not as independent as it should be. A lot of the trials of drugs are being funded by industry, performed by industry, marketed by industry. And medical journals need to be very alert to this problem, that we're being used to market treatments that are not as beneficial as they are being promised, and carry harms that are not being made clear. So it's a very strong message to industry to say doctors need to be more selective, careful on this.
I'd like to touch on two more important things. One is doctor-patient relationship, and the other is transparency and ethics.
Okay.
Because this is just a thought. Please.
Oh, I can. So the doctor-patient relationship is definitely changing around the world, and certainly in American or British healthcare systems, the patient is becoming much more informed. It's a good thing. And doctors are being encouraged to do shared decision-making much more, so the conversation between the doctor and patient is more equal. And personally, I think that's a very good thing. I think in India, we have a different situation where the time pressure on doctors is very great. And there is still that paternalism which has characterized medicine over the centuries, where patients tend to want the doctor to say what should happen, and there isn't necessarily the time for that conversation that is being encouraged in other parts of the world. But at the same time, patients are becoming more informed and more demanding, and in India they're paying for very much of the treatment they're receiving, so their expectation of getting what they want from the doctor is very high. And that can create a lot of tension where medicine cannot deliver what it is promising. So I think doctors, even despite the time pressure, are going to have to be much more honest. Honest is perhaps the wrong word, but more realistic about what medicine can deliver, and begin to talk to patients about the fact that there may be risks, there are risks in any treatment, and to make the parents, the patients and the families aware that things may go wrong, that the treatment may not cure the disease. And I think many patients, if they had the real information, might decide not to take the treatment. They may say, but they would rather see what happens without a treatment. I understand there are some parts of India where patients and families are attacking their doctors because the treatment didn't work, the patient died, and they had expected a cure. And increasingly there is legal action being taken, lawyers are coming into the picture, similar to what is happening in America. And this is putting enormous pressure on doctors to be very careful about what they do, maybe to over-investigate, to do more tests in case they miss something. And these are pressures all around the world. And I think it's becoming very, very important for doctors to be realistic about what they can deliver, to really communicate with patients and their families, and to be very careful about what they say and what they do. and to take the right guidance, to follow guidelines, to be very up to date in their practice. These are all good things, but as an individual doctor, it can seem very onerous, very high pressure, and I feel very sympathetic to doctors in India, the pressures they're under. We hope that the BMJ and the resources we're providing can help them to be up to date, to feel supported, to be able to access educational and evidence-based resources wherever they are. They don't have to come to a conference. They don't have to, they don't have to do it in their spare time. They can do it at the time of consulting the patient. We hope that these tools will help them to do a better job, to feel safer in their practice. I think everything that encourages ethical practice, transparency in research, transparency in clinical work is going to be a good thing. It's a very hard thing to do, it takes time. Doctors who hold fast to the values of medicine, the reasons they joined medicine, which was, I think, to do a better job for their patients, to do a good job for the public and for society. And that really requires holding fast to an ethical framework and being accountable for your actions, really pushing for social justice, pushing for equity and equality in society. These, I think, are values that medicine has held traditionally. We have a lot of issues in medicine around the world where those values are under pressure. People are encouraged to behave in commercial ways, to work with commercial enterprises, to push forward commercial agendas. And also doctors have to make a living, so they are themselves under pressure to do things that might not fit with their values. And I think we at the BMJ are trying to support doctors to behave in an ethical way, to understand what that looks like, what is ethical practice, what are the decisions and the choices they have to make on behalf of their patients, on behalf of the public, and to really feel supported in doing the right thing and doing it in the right way. And that can be very challenging. So we understand there are dilemmas, there are debates to be had. We want to try to help to raise those debates, to explore the dilemmas, and to provide doctors with support and resources to do the best they can in their work.